Overlays can provide a variety of results, but all calculated overlays are defined by a grid of numbers. Based on these numbers, colors are applied to create a visual map, an overlay of the results. Where possible, the Tygron platform will automatically generate legends for overlays which show the full spectrum of possible or reasonable results of an overlay. But there are a number of situations where it's prudent to tweak which values should be expected and how they should be displayed. As an example, when you have a calculated overlay in a project, an average overlay can be added which creates an additional map of smooth results. Hover over the Overlays button in the ribbon bar until the drop-down appears. Then in the Grid Calculation group, click on the Average and Interpolation option to add an averaging overlay. Configure the average overlay so that its input is the calculated overlay. Recalculate the overlay and see the results. Although there are actual results, the legend is rather obtuse, making it difficult to differentiate the exact values. Switch to the Legend tab, and the exact generated legend entries can be seen. Each entry consists of a name, a color, and a value. If any location has a value matching one of the entries, then that color is displayed. If a location has a value which falls between the values of two entries, then the color used is an interpolation between them. This creates smooth transitions as values vary. The default legend has some values but needs to be fine-tuned. A good way to start is to take the legend of another overlay which does show a proper differentiation. Switch to the calculated overlay the average overlay is using as input. Hover over the clipboard icon in the top right of the right panel and click on Copy to copy this overlay's legend to the clipboard. Next, switch back to the average overlay and activate the Has Custom Legend option. Then, hover over the clipboard icon and click on Paste to apply the same legend of the original overlay to this overlay. Notice the results in the 3D world immediately update as well. The legend does not affect the calculation, only the visualization of the results. Also notice that the legend in the bottom of the screen has updated, and the colors now seem much more appropriate for the averaged values. Legends can also be edited freely. Select any one or more entries for the legend in the right panel and click on Remove. The legend is now simplified. Entries can also be modified. Names of entries can be changed so the legend at the bottom of the 3D world interface becomes clearer. Click in the Name input field of the legend entry and change its contents to change the entry name. Notice that as the legend entries are updated, the display at the bottom of the 3D world interface is updated as well, and now a viewer has more information on how to interpret the values. The values which entries are linked to can be updated as well. This will shift at which point colors are applied. Click in the Value input field of the legend entry and change its contents to change the entry's associated value. Note that when changing values, it may be appropriate to change the names of entries as well to properly reflect what the display matches to. Click in the Name input field of the legend entry and change its contents to change the entry's name to again match the value. The color of entries can be changed as well, allowing for fine-tuning of color gradients as appropriate. Click on the Color selection drop-down of the legend entry and click on the desired color for that entry. Finally, additional entries can be created and configured. At the bottom of the panel, click on Add to add an additional entry to the legend. It is initialized for a value of 0. First, set the value to the appropriate value. Notice the entry is immediately reordered to the appropriate spot in the list of legend entries. Entries are always ordered by value. Next, enter the appropriate name for the entry. Finally, set the color of the entry to a desired or appropriate color to both fit in the color spectrum and properly relate to the value it is associated with. The legend has now been configured.